So this is just a follow-up video on my DIY ground mount plug-in solar system I've got here, and thank you for all the comments on the last video. They've really helped, and I'll address some of them in this video. First off, the washing line is gone. Many commented that I had the washing line going over the top of these two panels and they were causing a hard shadow. I'm not really sure how much that would have made because it was a shadow of only a few millimeters, but anyway, I've now moved the washing line, so that issue is addressed. The next issue was the 600 watt limit I was experiencing, and that was simply the set grid tied output, which I hadn't realised. So that's now set to 800 watt for the UK. Well, actually I've got it set to France at the moment, 900 watt, to see if I can get any more out of this. But that graph at the top there is still saying 800 watt. So I'm not sure whether you can actually get 900 watt out of these. But anyway, that is being addressed, and thank you for all the comments on that one. And as we can see at the moment, these panels, or should I say the inverter, is producing 783 watts. I've got these panels set up in parallel in two pairs. That one is facing southeast, this is facing southwest. Many people said I would get much better generation if the panels all faced south, but they're wrong there, because this is going through that plug-in inverter where you're capped at 800 watt. So these are producing 800 watt when they're not facing south. So there'll be no advantage to face these south because the inverter is limiting it anyway. So facing them this way, and I might even actually turn them more south and more west, this is giving me a longer period of generation because I'm capping to that 800 watt throughout the day anyway. So by pointing these east, or southeast, but I'm possibly going to move that, I'm picking up the sun earlier in the day, and my intention is to get as maximum amount of energy I can get throughout the day for as long as I can, and pointing them south wouldn't achieve that. And I've made these frames so those panels are at 55 degrees, which is very steep, and many people have said that I would get more generation by changing angles of the panels, which I would do in the summer, but in the summer I'm running at the limit of that inverter anyway. So this is all set up for maximum generation in the winter, and I'm yet to be convinced that I've got this wrong on this one, even though I'm a complete beginner at solar, because I'm running this on a 800 watt plug-in solar inverter. If I had a bigger inverter, then yes, the panels could be angled better, but for what I'm trying to achieve here on plug-in solar, I think that is probably the best answer. But anyway, if you think otherwise, let me know in the comments. This channel has had over 15 million views, yet only has 40,000 subscribers, whereas it should be 3 to 4 times that, because over 90% of the viewers are not subscribed. Please do, it's completely free, it's only a click for you, and it really does help. I've wired these 4 panels in parallel, so those 2 there are in parallel on one input and those 2 in parallel on the other input, using these Y branch adapters. And some people have commented and said I'll be better wiring one panel from the southeast frame and one panel from the southwest frame together on one input, and then the same on the other. However, I've run this through AI quite a few times, and AI is telling me that wouldn't achieve anything better because of the limitations of this particular inverter. AI keeps telling me that I'm best to do it the way I've done it. So each frame is wired together on one input. I'll put AI's answer up on the screen actually, because I don't fully understand this when you start looking at potential outputs of the panels and the limitations on the ports on the inverter, because the panels output I assume is going to be varying, so it's a bit confusing when you're new to this. But anyway, I'll put it up on the screen, and if you think otherwise, let me know in the comments below. I have since invested in an EcoFlow smart meter. This costs £99 and is simply a CT clamp that you put around your incoming live mains wire, and then this device connects to the Wi-Fi, so you can get the real-time information in the EcoFlow app. This is both your energy consumption and the export back to the grid, which you don't get paid for. I soon realised I needed this to fully understand how much of this plug-in solar generation I was actually using. So it's now 12:45 in the afternoon and the panels are currently producing 786 watts. And if I go to devices and have a look at the smart meter, we've got 710 watts of that going out to the grid. And that was quite a surprise. I thought the base load of the house would be much higher than 100 watt. It tends to be 100 to 200 watt. Now I've got this and I can see the actual information. Whereas before I thought it was going to be more like 400 or 500 watt. So I thought I was going to be able to absorb most of this energy the panels were making just from the internet router, the fridge freezer, Google home screens, laptop on power all the time, and various devices which are on charge, all that sort of base load of the property. But that is all using much less than I actually thought. So the conclusion of this is clearly a battery is needed. And let's have a look at the generation. So if we go to the stats here, we can see today I've generated 2.43 kilowatt hours of energy already, and it's only midday. If I look at yesterday, we can see there the southeast panels were producing more energy in the morning. That's the red ones, PV2. The southwest panels were producing, but they peak during the day. That's the maximum the inverter is going to allow, and then in the afternoon they switch over because obviously the southwest facing ones are going to generate more energy. And these troughs throughout the day were clearly clouds. So that's nearly 6 kilowatt hours yesterday. Day before, 6.5. Clearly a much sunnier day. Day before, was that the day before? So yeah, 5.5, 5.15, sorry there. 6, 5.17, so 6. So producing something like 6 kilowatt hours on average a day. If we look at a week, let's scroll back. So 39.2 kilowatt hours of energy produced last week. So while I am getting very close to 800 watt with this setup now in good conditions like we are today, it's nice and sunny and it's not ridiculously hot like it was last week, I'm never getting to that 800 watt limitation on the inverter. So it could be panel temperature, and they are certainly quite hot today, but I think it's probably, or could be, inverter temperature, and this thing gets extremely hot, which I have read lots of reviews and people do say these do overheat. So rather than being voltages from the panels, I'm wondering whether it's actually the temperature of this. I can hardly touch that. But anyway, at the moment I'm getting 780 watts from this, but I'm hoping this is getting good airflow around it. And I've purposely left the back open as well to aid that cooling. But I'll be interested to know, does anyone actually get the 800 watt limit out of their EcoFlow inverter? I've also now earthed all the panels by rubbing the paint off the frame here and using the stainless steel bolts, join them all together and run the earth round to my junction box here where it's picking up the earth from the mains cable. But does anyone else bother to do this? And do they do this when they mount solar panels up on a roof? Because I can't see that they do. I've watched people install panels and they just seem to be doing the MC4 cabling. Do they really do all this earthing? Or is the earthing not needed when it's on a roof and therefore not accessible? So far I'm quite happy with this setup for my first attempt, and it's exactly what I wanted to achieve, to get as most as I can out of that 800 watt inverter, to have something that wasn't fixed to the ground, that I could play with the angles and I can move it. And I designed the frame so I can get the lawnmower under the front there to cut the grass. Some people commented on whether they would blow over in the wind. I don't think they will, because this big fir tree behind and the wind's coming from this way most of the time, so I think they're going to be pretty sheltered. But if the wind becomes a problem, I can put a sandbag or something over that back timber there, and that will help to hold it all down. And I could fix them to the ground if I wanted to. But each one of these frames is pretty heavy. Those panels are 20 kilos each. So you're looking at 50 to 55 kilograms in total per frame. So while they could blow over in a strong wind, I think where they're positioned right next to that fir tree and the tops and sort of touching the fir tree, I think they're going to be okay, but obviously time will tell with that one. So what's next for this setup? Well, clearly I've got to get a battery, because I'm not using all the energy these panels are producing in real time, and the majority of it is going out to the grid, so I'm not making those savings that I thought I would. And we do now run the washing machine and the tumble dryer during the day, and these panels are powering most of that. When you're running the washing machine, it's only when that water is being heated, which only takes 5 minutes or so, that's when it's pulling from the grid. For the rest of the time, these are powering the washing machine. They also power the tumble dryer fully, because we've got a heat pump tumble dryer. So we are putting more devices on during the day, but even so, I would say more than half, maybe 75% of all the energy that we're producing is currently going off to the grid and probably being used by my neighbour over there. So the next video from me on this setup might be me reviewing a battery. So if you've got any comments about this or any suggestions or improvements, please do write them in the comments below, and I hope you found this one useful. If you have, please do click the thumbs up as always, and I'll see you on the next one. If you like the video, please do click the thumbs up button, and leaving a comment also helps too. Plus, of course, subscribe if you're not. If the video saved you time or money, a little support via Ko-fi or the Super Thanks button would mean a lot. There's over 1,300 videos on the channel, so have a browse, use the search, and have a look at the playlists. And here's 2 videos you may want to check out.